Genuinely, Rhys Williams being the Torchwood MVP was not on my 2024 bingo card. Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. TARDIS and I'm making my way through the back catalogue of Big Finish reviews. I apologise for my voice, I have a bit of a cold, but I'll tell you who is sounding terrific as usual. Kai Owen is reprising the role of Rhys Williams for the Torchwood monthly range story, The Hollow Choir. Now Rhys has had a really good year for Torchwood monthly range stories in 2024. Back in January, we had Poppet, which was written by Lauren Mooney and Stuart Pringle, where Rhys Williams gets involved in a missing person's case, because basically the backstory in the Torchwood Story Continues range is that Rhys and Gwen and their daughter Anwen are basically in a sort of witness protection program in rural Wales. Eve Miles, who plays Gwen, is very difficult to book for these audio dramas, so she doesn't appear very often, but that just means that you get Kai Owen as Rhys Williams going on these incredibly scary and haunting adventures. This one is The Hollow Choir, written by Malcolm Devlin and Helen Marshall. Now these two are Big Finish newcomers. This is their first story for Big Finish, and they're basically known for their horror fiction, their writing in books. And the plot of The Hollow Choir has Rhys volunteering to help a group of teenagers who have found themselves trapped in a Welsh coastal cave. A cave called the Mouth of Gwedir. I'll play the actual clip so you can hear it properly.
The Mouth of Gwedir.
There's 3 students, they're trapped in the lower depths of the caves, and there's the risk of flooding because of the rainstorms. Rhys has volunteered to help with the rescue because he's quote special ops, and he's also got a map, and he goes down with another cave explorer, William, played by guest actor Simon Armstrong. However, as is characteristic of Torchwood, they don't have to worry about the rain, they don't have to worry about getting trapped in the caves. There's something much darker and much more horrifying trapped in there as well.
Ella, listen girl, hold still, your leg is broken. Help is on the way, but your friends are still missing.
Lucas couldn't wait. He wouldn't wait for her. He broke himself.
Lucas Powell.
Oh, he broke himself. Oh, I don't want to listen. I don't want to hear.
Lucas. You know him? He's part of the local club. He used to hang around with... Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. What is it? But who was the third, Ella? Who else was with you? Lucas was new, he wasn't local. Who was your guide?
She said she was going to get help. And she left us. She left us here. She left us to go down. Lucas couldn't wait. It followed us here. He broke. He followed. He broke himself. She...
Who was she? William, stop it!
Lynn!
Oh, Jesus.
And yes, as the end of that clip implied, William does have a daughter, Lynn, played by Olivia Forrest. She is one of the 3 who is trapped in the cave. So it's up to these 2 Welsh lads to try and find their way through and eventually get out of the cave. However, much like Torchwood Poppet, Rhys gets involved in some incredibly messed up supernatural shenanigans. I love with how this and Poppet, Rhys is like over the crazy Torchwood extraterrestrial supernatural stuff, but that crazy extraterrestrial and supernatural stuff is not over with him. He's so unlucky, but with Rhys being such a captivating everyman, it's also darkly funny. However, while Poppet was almost funny in just how uncomfortable it could make the listener, The Hollow Choir is much more like a sense of impending dread and using the incredible soundscapes to really leave the audience on edge. We'll get to the characters and the plot and everything in the moment, but The Hollow Choir has an insane sound design. I would love to hear just the raw audio in the voice acting booth and just how you direct actors like this to vocalize like they're in such a big empty space. And then you have the sound effects, the near constant reverberations, the running water, boots on stone, legs wading through knee-deep pools, because listeners with good sound systems or great headphones are in with a treat for this one, and the attention to detail with the sound effects is just superb. This is one of Big Finish's best sounding audio dramas of the past year. We even hear some portions of the story from the perspective of a character who's wearing earplugs, because there's a haunting singing presence inside of the caves, hence hence the name the Hollow Choir. The lore being that Rhys, who is pretending to be special ops, he got the map of the inner workings of the cave system from a woman called Hetty, who is basically known as the local mad crazy lady. But when she was young in World War II, she went into the caves to escape the bombing and drew a map of the inner workings there, and what she found in the caves drove her mad to the extent where she put her knitting needles in her ears because the voices told her to. So there's something audible in the caves that is manipulating people. And one of the inspirations that Malcolm Devlin and Helen Marshall mention in the behind the scenes interviews is that some of the Hollow Choir was based on the manga The Enigma of Amagera Fault by Junji Ito, which is a short story about a group of people who are compelled to go into these caves to their death. But Helen in the interviews also mentions taking inspiration from medieval literature such as Sir Orfeo, which is the story of a demon taking a king's wife down to the underworld. And I think that Big Finish and the Torchwood team specifically have done such a great job at bringing in new talent, brand new writers to Big Finish in order to tell these type of stories, because it's fresh voices who are drawing from really interesting inspirations. From medieval literature to modern manga, it's really great. But the character work here is really strong as well, with Rhys basically being the Torchwood everyman, which is what makes him such a compelling character, especially towards the end of the series. He's not actually special ops, but he's been around it enough to be able to pass. He's vulnerable and mortal and relatively inexperienced, but what makes him such a fascinating and endearing protagonist in a story like this is that he knows all of those things about him, but he considers himself to be expendable. He doesn't want his wife Gwen going into these caves. He'd rather take the fall for it because he knows that Anwen, his daughter at home, needs her mother. And while that's quite sad in the way he sees himself, it also means he feels like he personally doesn't have a lot to lose, so he'll put himself on the line to try and save these people trapped, and also to try and save William, who is also undergoing his own character arc in the story. There are interludes in this 50-minute-ish story where we do learn more about William and his relationship with his daughter, but they don't feel like, okay, let's stop the plot and do some character work. No, it feels naturally interwoven with the plot progression. That sort of like invisible detail where you don't quite realise that you are being exposited to. You know, stuff like that is what makes Devlin and Marshall really great fits for this material, I think. But ultimately, my perspective of it is that while the Hollow Choir does feel like The Descent, but in Wales, it is ultimately a story about a group of men who are trying to do right for the women in their lives. Not in like a competitive machismo type of way, but in a honourable, chivalrous guardianship type of way. It's a bit old-fashioned, but it is endearing, and it does allow these characters to really shine at their best. And of course, the ultimate revelation of what is inside of the caves, while I think the ending was a little bit rushed, like I think it could have maybe used a couple of extra minutes at the end to sort of tie things together, it was creepy and horrifying and quite satisfying for the most part. With really strong sound design, great performances from Kai Owen and Simon Armstrong leading the charge here, the Hollow Choir is a massive surprise from Big Finish in the past year. Like, I know it might be a bit of a meme like, oh, what is Gwen's husband doing in these Torchwood stories? But with stories like this and Pop It and also Thirst Trap, which came out in 2023, like, they've really done a great job at fleshing out this character and showing why he was such an important part of the Torchwood dynamic, even if we didn't see him as much as we probably should. Malcolm and Helen are a great writing team. They've really brought a fresh approach to the Torchwood universe and this story. And yeah, this was a really strong story, a really solid release with some genuine chills bolstered by top tier sound design. So yeah, that's the Hollow Choir. If you've listened to it, let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts on it was. Let me know if you've got a favourite like Rhys moment from the series, whether it be in the TV show or in the expanded universe. Let me know down below. And folks, I'll see you next time.